In part one of this video about the Fuji X-M1, I talked a little bit about the camera, and then I showed you some of the features that I like about this camera. Well, after extensively testing this camera for a couple weeks, I'd walk around the lakes and I would carry this little bag, and I had my camera inside of this little bag. And there were times that I picked up this bag and I thought, geez, is there a camera in there? So I had to look inside, because this thing is so lightweight and small. So that's another benefit of this camera. But today we're going to take a look at some of those images that were taken using my favorite feature, and it's the filter system in the advanced mode of this Fuji X-M1. Let's take a look. When we go into the advanced mode, you're going to see the advanced filters, and these are really some interesting effects that is actually like post-processing. Instead of working on images in Photoshop, you're going to get these right out of your camera. And one of my favorites that I use quite a bit, especially for landscape, is the pop color filter. You can see the pop color filter just seems to emphasize contrast, and it just gives a little bit more color saturation. And this is really nice on a soft, cloudy day. It just gives a little bit more pop to your image, a little bit more than your normal setting would be. Here's an example of, if you look at the first image, it was just shot regular, and I normally have my camera set to a Velvia setting, which is Fuji's chrome film. And anybody that remembers in the film days, but Fuji had I think they still do actually, but Fuji has something called Velvia, which is a Fuji chrome film. And it's known for its high resolution and the color saturation and the vibrancy. It was really popular with the professional photographers doing commercial work, and even sometimes they would use it for portraits as well. But that's how I have my camera set normally, in the Velvia mode, which is the normal setting on this image here. And if I change it to the pop color, you could see it just gives a little bit more contrast and a little bit more color saturation, which is really helpful on a cloudy day, or we're starting to get dark a little bit, especially cloudy. It just gives a nice pop to the color. Here's another example of the pop filter. And another interesting filter is called a soft focus, which gives like an even soft focus throughout the image. Their soft focus, it's actually more or almost like a misty effect, but they call it soft focus. Kind of interesting. And another neat one is called toy camera, which gives like a little funky color effect and the shaded borders. So what it does actually is it gives like a vignette around the edges. Very interesting effect. And one of my favorite is the dynamic tone setting. And this is really, really good for cloudy days. Even on overcast days, it just seems to make the clouds just stand out. It actually creates like a fantasy effect. And it sort of reminds me of the old 35mm Kodak black and white infrared film days. And that was a film that I used to use quite a bit, and I really love using that film. And it's similar to that, but of course this is in color instead of just being black and white infrared. So it goes almost into a fantasy range, and this is really, really useful on those cloudy days. As you can see here, it just emphasizes the clouds. Let's take a look at a fall foliage scene, and here we're looking at my normal camera setting. Here I shot this in aperture priority, and I have my camera set to Velvia film. And then I switched to soft focus, same image, and just has a soft look throughout the whole image. And then if you go into the toy camera mode, it just gives that neat little funky color look with the dark borders. Also a very interesting effect. And one of my favorites is the dynamic tone. But on a sunny day, it's really contrasty, so it might not be maybe useful for everything, but it's really especially useful for cloudy days, and especially when there's clouds involved. The dynamic tone actually is the one that gives a nice fantasy effect and just seems to increase the contrast a little bit. And another interesting filter setting that the Fuji X-M1 has is called partial color, which is a black and white setting, and then you could choose from several different colors which color you want to add to the black and white image. For instance, they have colors like purple, blue, yellow, orange, green, and red. And in this case here, you're looking at the black and white with the partial color yellow. And here's how it looks with the blue picked. So just black and white and blue. And then here's another example. Now, one thing, when I took these photographs, I was by myself and I just walked around the wooded areas, and I walked around the lake. And if you're going to be doing something like this, just make sure that you tell someone where you're going, because you never know what kind of wild animals there's going to be around and who's watching you. So just be very, very careful. And then here's another example of the pop color in the sun and soft focus and the dynamic tone range. And of course the toy camera setting. So there it is, using the advanced mode in the advanced filter section. You can see all the neat effects that you can get. You can get this actually in post-processing, so you don't have to worry about going back into Photoshop and spending a lot of time in doing this. And of course, you could tweak all this if you want to, and all the images that I just showed you on this video were actually taken right from the camera. All I did was make the image size smaller and then copy and paste it onto a widescreen board. And I just gave each image a stroke, like a little border effect, but there was no change in levels even, and contrast or anything. These came straight out of the camera. So that's another beautiful feature of this wonderful camera. So thank you for watching, and for more photographic educational tips, please visit our website, www.photofons.com. Thank you very much.